Mixed Up by Kami Garcia, a first chapter Friday graphic novel read aloud video and author interview with Amanda Zieba, the word nerd, and Kami Garcia. Hi, my name is Amanda Zieba. Welcome to my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd, and another first chapter Friday video. This week we're going to be reading to you from Mixed Up by Kami Garcia, illustrated by Brittney Williams, and lettering done by Tyler Smith. Why are there three people on the cover of this book? You're going to find that out when we have a chance to interview the author, Kami, after I read you chapter 1. But first, let me tell you a little bit about this story. Stella knows 5th grade will be the best year ever. Her closest friends, Emiko and Latasha, are in her class, and they got the teacher they wanted. Then their favorite television show, Witchlins, announces a new guidebook and an online game. But when the classwork starts piling up, Stella struggles to stay on top of it. Why does it take her so long to read? And when she can't deal with the text-heavy Witchlin's guidebook, she can't keep up with her friends in the game either. Her loving teachers and family recognize that Stella has a learning difference, and after a dyslexia diagnosis, she gets the support and tools that she needs to succeed. You guys, I love this book. I read it from cover to cover in one afternoon, and I know that you will find something you love about it too. So let's hop off screen and into the pages of the story, and then after that, stick around because we're going to have a chance to chat with the author, Kami Garcia. As we start the story and enter the scene, the main character Stella and her two best friends are talking about the upcoming school year. I can't wait to sit at the 5th grade lunch tables. The little kids are so messy, Stella says. Plus, we get dismissed first for recess. Now I'll have time to run up to the library if I need to, before the line gets too long. My mom is surprised the teachers put us in the same class because we'll never stop talking. And we lucked out because everybody wants to be in Miss Marin's class. I picked everything on the school supply list except a silent reading book. I found a book about pro skater Nia Houston. Maybe I'll pick up some tips. I'm still choosing one. Which book are you bringing, Stella? The Witches, Stella says as she holds the book above her head. But we read it in class last year. The list says you have to bring a book you've never read. Didn't you see the teacher's note on the list? Yeah? Markers, pencil case, book for silent reading, and then there's an asterisk there and a little note below it that says, "Note, please choose a book you have not read before." Stella looks worried and a little confused, and she thinks, ugh, how did I miss the word not? I looked at the list twice. Oh well. And we know that she's thinking it instead of saying it out loud because it's in a square box instead of in a rounded speech bubble. She says to her friends out loud, "Guess I read it too fast." And her dog is also looking a little confused, like, "I'm not sure that's what happened, Stella." "I'll pick a different book later," Stella says, and she thinks, a short one. "I can't choose," her friend says. "I'm just going to bring them all." "You have too many books in there." "You can never have too many books. Or too many art markers." Later that night, did we get everything for our snack mix? Check. It was our signature snack. We'd been making it since our first sleepover in kindergarten. What about sour peach rings? I need to eat as many gummy candies as I possibly can before I get braces. Got 'em. The three of us became BFFs on the first day when we stood up to the class bully together. "Give me the ball." "No, it's our turn. We had it first." And we can see that this is slightly shaded out in this purple hue, which means that Stella's thinking about something that happened in the past. That shading, that kind of faded look, is a technique that graphic novel illustrators use to let us know that something's happening either in somebody's head or before, and they're remembering it. We're back in the present time now, and they're saying, "Let's make a fort even bigger than last time." Here's another long piece. Almost done. Which episode of Witchland should we watch first? Let's watch the one where the sisters use their powers for the first time. I like the one where Belladonna uses hers to talk to her cat. We know it's your favorite, but we've seen it a million times. What about the episode where Andromeda turns the Dragon Queen into a turnip? Rock, paper, scissors to decide. Add the sour peach rings. Like I'd forget. I'll be upstairs if you need me, girls. Mom! The fort is a parent-free zone. Wait, forgot my hat. You don't have to wear it every time we watch the show. Yes, I do. And then the girls turn towards the screen and dive into their favorite TV show, Witchlins. And this is where we're going to leave them before all the trouble starts for Stella. But if you want to learn more and find out what happens to these three friends in fifth grade, pick up a copy of Mixed Up by Kami Garcia. But now let's head for a chat with the author. All right, readers, we are in for a real treat because we are here with the author of Mixed Up, Kami Garcia. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, to be honest, I read your book in one sitting, and so did my son. It came in the mail, and he like snatched it before I could even get it, and read it in one sitting, and we both loved it. And so I'm really excited to ask you these questions today.
Oh, thanks. I love hearing that.
Yes, yes. Okay, so the first question is that in the author's note, you share that this book was inspired by some real experiences your daughter was having. And so I'm wondering if you're willing to talk about how you decided to turn this real life, potentially hard, tricky thing into a book. What was the process of thinking about that and why you decided
Yeah.
to share?
So, Mixed Up is inspired by by my daughter's story, but also I was a teacher for 17 years and a reading specialist before I started writing. So it also was inspired by experiences like of students that I had taught. I'm also neurodivergent. I'm not dyslexic, but I have ADHD, so I kind of have experience with knowing what it feels like to be different, and to learn differently.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a convergence of a couple things. I had started doing graphic novels. I was doing the Teen Titans graphic novel series for DC with Gabriel Piccolo, and so I now had kind of experienced writing graphic novels. And my daughter, she's about to graduate from high school, but she moved to a school for dyslexia, which is there aren't a lot of them, but it was really cool. So she kind of was in this better place, and I was reflecting on what she had gone through. And whenever I have a problem in the world, like, books are always the answer. So it's like, if you don't know how to do something, you find a book. If you're having a problem, and you find a book. So when she was diagnosed with dyslexia, when she was having some struggles or just frustrated at school, I started looking for books about dyslexia. I found some picture books. I found a lot of cute, like, nonfiction books for kids, written for kids to read about being dyslexic. But I was really surprised that I didn't find any graphic novels, because to me, the graphic novel format is like the
Yeah.
perfect format for someone who is dyslexic. And the more I mean, there might be something out there in the universe, but like, I couldn't easily find anything.
Yeah.
So it seemed to me like, that is something that needs to be in the world. And originally I just started writing for DC, and I wasn't, I hadn't got to the point where I wanted to write my own kind of original graphic novel. But when I decided that I wanted to do that, immediately I thought about that, and I investigated again, and there still was no graphic novel about dyslexia. So that was when I kind of decided the universe, it was kind of like the perfect collision of like my former career and the career I have now. And it seemed like, the universe is kind of telling me I should be writing this book. And so that's when I decided I was going to try to do it.
Awesome. Awesome. And I forget who says it, but if you can't find the book you want to read, that means that you need to write it. So I'll try to find in my research as I'm editing this who said that and link it below. But yes, that makes so much sense. And you kind of already answered the second question that I had, which is you've written a wide variety of other books in different formats. And how did you choose to write this one as a graphic novel? And you kind of explained that, but is there anything else that you wanted to add about
Yeah,
that?
so I was best known as a YA prose writer, writing regular novels with all words. And DC approached me. They were looking for established, people with experience, writing middle grade and YA prose novels to come and write graphic novels for them. And they wanted you to kind of like sometimes when you write intellectual property, which IP means like something characters owned by somebody else, like for a TV show, whatever, Gravity Falls, DC, Marvel. Sometimes they'll give you like a almost like a not an outline, but like a description of like, this is what we want the book to be about, and they just want you to write it. But this, they wanted the writer to actually come up with the idea too, of like, this is the
Hmm.
concept for the book. So they said their goal was they wanted to get people who didn't normally read comics and graphic novels to read comics. And how do you get somebody who doesn't normally read a comic? I'm looking for, I thought I had one right behind me, but I don't. How do you get them to read the books? And, kind of like to me, I knew that a lot of people were kind of like intimidated. Like maybe they just thought they didn't like comics or they thought they were intimidating because, regular paper periodicals, there's like a million panels and like tons of balloons everywhere. So, and they also said, when I brought up Teen Titans, they were like, we're always surprised. Like the cartoon is popular and stuff, but like they're such cool characters. Like, I mean, to me, I was always like, why aren't they like one of the most popular of all time for DC? As popular as Batman. And one of the things I thought about was the fact that when you read a regular prose novel, you really get to know a lot about the characters. You have like hundreds of pages to read about them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that you really get to know them. And the other thing was like, you know, even if they have magic or whatever, they're kind of like us. So my whole pitch was I wanted to create characters for the universe that would be more relatable, more like regular teenagers.
Okay.
And that was kind of my pitch, and they loved it. And I found Gabriel Piccolo as my artist, and kind of the rest was history. Um, but through that experience of and which I'm still writing, the series is ongoing. But it was really important to me to kind of I like put my teacher hat on, and like those books are all in dyslexia friendly fonts, which a lot of people don't know. They're very
Mhm.
diverse. Like it was very important to me that if I was going to take on this visual medium, that I create something that like all children could feel seen. Everybody could find someone like them in the book. And that kind of carried over to this book where this one's actually in dyslexia, which is, if your son's dyslexic, you probably know is a dyslexia friendly font that might make it more comfortable for some readers who are dyslexic. Um, but also the diversity, I wanted the book to be something that, any kid, there's people with, visible disabilities in the book with prosthetics. Like I really wanted every kid to feel seen in reading the book, because to me, one of the things that's really special about graphic novels is instead of just having to imagine the characters, like they are on the page for you. So I
Mhm.
wanted kids to be able to look in the story and see people like them, whether it was being neurodiverse and having, a learning difference, or whether it was having a physical disability, or if it was just, that's the way I braid my hair.
Mhm.
Because I feel like when you're reading a graphic novel, like it's so easy to put yourself in the book, because it's like you're seeing the story. So I really wanted everybody to feel like they could be in the book and be participating in the story.
Yeah. And it really that rang true. I noticed those things as I
Mm.
read through it. I was a teacher for a long time too, and so
Oh,
bravo. Task
well,
achieved.
a
Check it
lot of the
off.
credit obviously goes to Brittney Williams is my artist on this, and we're co-creators, and she just like knocked it out of the park. She really brought the characters to life, and I feel like when you're reading the book, like you really feel like you're in the classroom, which is cool. As a
Yeah.
reader, like I love that experience of feeling like I'm in the book.
Well, you teed me up for the next question perfectly, because that is that on the cover of the book, there are three names, and sometimes there's two names, especially with a graphic novel, because the writer and the illustrator are different. But there's a third name on here, Tyler Smith, who does the lettering. And so, for those of us who don't know how a graphic novel is made, can you tell us why there are three different people, and like maybe how that
Yeah,
works a little bit? I know it's a huge, very long
yeah.
process, but like in a condensed little way, like why are there three people and how does that work?
So a graphic novel starts with a script. I give the artist a script and they create characters, and then they create what are called thumbnails. They kind of take the page and decide like how many, here's where the panels are going to be. This one's going to be the biggest. They figure all that out. I look at it, I say great. But one of the things Britt also does, and most of my artists do, is they'll make like a little circle or a square or a space where they think the word balloon would go. Um, which later will be for the letterer. Then, they draw the pages, they make them look really perfect, they ink them, they color them. Then the page goes to a person who's called the letterer. And Tyler Smith from Comicraft was our letterer on this book. And like a lot of people think, oh, they just like type in the balloons or whatever. But lettering is super important. Everything from the shapes of the balloons, where the balloons are exactly, to the fonts that they pick. Tyler is really unique because Comicraft is a company that was created by someone named Richard Starkings, who pioneered digital lettering. Lettering used to be done by hand, where
Hmm.
someone had to sit there and write every word for every balloon. And Richard kind of pioneered digital lettering, where you could do it on a computer, but also Comicraft has this giant library of original fonts. And we actually, Tyler Smith, his son is neurodivergent, and he had never worked on like a kid's book before. And he really wanted to work on this because he said, I wanted something that I could like something of my work that I could read to my son. And he usually works on like Batman and stuff, like adult stuff,
Yeah.
where it's not really even appropriate. And Richard gave us special permission to not use one of his fonts because we use dyslexia, and he doesn't obviously he didn't create the dyslexia friendly font. So he was like, this is like a good exception for a reason to not use our library. But because number one, I think the letterer should always get to be on the cover and the side with everybody else. But we really wanted to have Tyler and Comicraft on here because the lettering in this book is like so key. And it's also really difficult. Dyslexia is like a weird font, like it has a lot of like technical calculations. Like there's a space between the lines, there's space between the letters, there's also space between the top of the balloon and the word. So like it was like Tyler had to do a lot of work, and you
Yeah.
have to like, and also like they're kind of big, but you don't want it to be so big that like the balloons are taking over the whole page.
Correct.
So he did an excellent job, and like thank goodness, because like no one wanted to tackle that. Artists are, if people think like some artists can do their own lettering, but lettering really is its own art. And
Yes.
it's a job you can get in comics. Like you can just letter or be a letterer.
Yeah. That's super interesting. And like when we open a book and we look at like the text on there, and maybe we think more about it with a graphic novel than we do with a prose novel. But even then, like it is someone's specific job to like do the margins and the page numbers and like the size of the words and the size of the space in between the words. Like it is such an itty bitty thing. And if it's done right, you don't notice it at all.
Yeah.
That's how you know you've done well.
It's
And if
supposed to
it's
be invisible. Like it's supposed to just
yes,
be seamless, where it looks like it
yes,
was created with the art. But when it is not, you totally notice. When the
yes,
lettering is not good, you see it. It like
yeah.
is jumping out at you. And, I always say, like, with the art, with all of it, the dialogue, like when you're reading, you're supposed to be able to get immersed and lost in the story. You're not supposed to be
Mhm.
noticing, like, oh, the artist did a good job at this, or like that's all supposed to be things you reflect on later. You're supposed to be able to be, I always say, like, you're supposed to be able to be part of the story.
Right.
And anytime what that's the tricky thing about comics and graphic novels. Anytime, whether it's the script, the lettering, the art, if one thing is off, it throws it all off.
And it
So
pulls you
like
out of the story. It
we
does.
all
It
have to
does.
be like literally like an athletic team where like we
Mhm.
are working together to pass that ball, and which is our story. And if we don't do it perfectly, you'll see it, and you'll
Yeah.
you'll kind of be like, this would have been better if. And I know you can always improve something, but I don't want that to be the thing when people finish, when kids finish reading the book, and adults, I don't want them to be like, oh, it could have been better if. I want them to just like close the book and feel like they had such a great time reading.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the right sports analogy is as far as like home run or touchdown, but you guys did it. So my
Thank you.
next question is not a specific question to this book. It's related, but in the book, the characters are really interested, maybe even obsessed with this show called Witchlins. And I'm curious if there is like a made up world or universe. I know you've mentioned some DC stuff, so I'm really curious to what your answer is going to be. But is there a made up world or universe that like you love, the movies, the shows, the books, the websites that you are obsessed with and a fan of?
Oh my gosh, so many. I have so many fandoms. I'm a huge I love Gravity Falls. I love Teen Titans and Young Justice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with like those are my favorite kind of like artsy,
Yeah.
animated things. I'm a huge X-Files fan, which is like a TV
Ooh.
show, but it's also there are novels and books, and I've actually written an X-Files book, which is why I have, because I'm such an X-Files nerd. Um, I grew up. I was a big Star Wars. I loved Star Wars when I was growing up. Wonder Woman, like the Wonder Woman show, I was obsessed with. So I've always had a lot of fandoms, and I'm like the biggest Buffy fan. You'll notice in the book the dog's name is Oz. So my real dog's name is Oz, and my other dog's name is Spike, which are characters in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes.
So
Yes.
like I am big in fandom. Like I really love and like to get immersed in the things that I love. And I know a lot of kids are too. So I wanted to create, my editor actually helped a lot with this, Aaron Stein. Like I wanted to create something they were fans of, but
Yeah.
legally you can't use like DC or things that already
No, no, no,
exist.
no. Yeah.
So it's tricky, but the one thing I remember when I was young, aside from like Wonder Woman and stuff, was I was obsessed with like witches, like little like witch stuff and like little witches with cats. And so I thought like that's a pretty, and also that's like a fandom where, like no one owns witches. So like I was
Right.
like, I could do a thing where they have this show that they watch about these witches, and that's the thing they're obsessed with. So it's kind of like I had to figure out what is my demon slayer Sailor
Yeah.
Moon,
Yeah.
and that's what I came up with. And then Britt brought it to life. One cool thing about this book is there's a comic within the comic. So there is a
Yeah.
graphic
Yeah.
novel. Stella, the main character, is writing a graphic novel in this story, and Britt actually did all the art for it, so you can read her graphic novel in the book also, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I love that. And as we were just sitting here talking about it, it reminded me of I don't know if you've read Gamerville by Johnny Christmas, but
No.
he created a video game world for his character who loved video games, and so he didn't want to use one that was already out there. And so he has a made up video game world in his. So you should
Oh,
check that out. And for
yeah.
those of you listening who've already read Gamerville and loved it, there are aspects of this book that are like that, and you're really gonna like it. So,
I'll definitely
okay,
read it.
last question for you is that what do you hope readers will carry away with them after they've read this book?
So the book is really about a girl who discovers, she has dyslexia. And one of the things that I noticed with my daughter and with a lot of kids who have any learning difference is you really feel like you're the only one, and you feel like sometimes you're not as smart or talented or capable as someone else. And the thing I really want everyone of any age to take away from it is like every brain is different. We all learn differently. And like, being different doesn't make you any, less intelligent or less capable than anyone else.
Mhm.
And in real life, it's actually interesting because a lot they're starting to do like research studies. Like a lot of novelists and artists have ADHD. They're on the autism spectrum. Like Britt, the artist of this book, is on the autism spectrum. I have ADHD. Like they're starting to find out that a lot of people who have learning differences, it actually makes them talented in other things that you wouldn't
Yep.
expect. So I just want every kid to know that we're all different and there's nothing wrong with being different.
Yeah. That is such a great message and one that shone through clearly in this book. And so I'm so grateful that you put all the time and energy and heart into the story. I loved it, and I know that kids are going to love it too. I can't wait to like sing its praises everywhere so that
Thank
everyone will go
you.
out and get it. Before we go, this is like a really recent release. I think it like
Yeah.
just came out or is just coming out as we record this. But is there anything else that you're working on that you want to tell us to keep our eyes peeled for? And then finally, if a reader has another question that I haven't asked, what is the best way for them to get a
Yeah.
hold of you?
So right now, my Teen Titans series with Gabriel Piccolo is ongoing. I am working on book 6 in the series. It's actually the
Nice.
last book, called Teen Titans Together. And then I have another original graphic novel that's also YA for young adults, coming probably 26, or I'm guessing late 26, maybe 27. There's a really great artist called Sweeney Boo, and she is doing the art for that. And it is a vampire graphic novel about a girl who is
Fun.
secretly a vampire in high school. And that will be coming in the future. And I'm usually working on also some DC stuff. So the easiest way to always find out about me or any of my books is to go to kamigarcia.com. It's just my name. And there's links to all my books, my bio, all that kind of stuff. And then in most, I go on TikTok and watch it, but I don't answer questions there because I don't really post. But on all the other apps, my name is if you're on Instagram, it's Kami Garcia, Blue Sky. And depending on your age, you may or, should maybe not be on those, but you can also have on my website, there's a contact where like you can fill out a little thing and it will send me an email. But if you are doing like a book report or you just want to like write about me for some reason, I also in my bio section, I have a whole section of kind of like facts about me. Like where
Oh,
was I
great.
born? What, how did I become a writer? So a lot of times if you're doing like an author study or a book report, and like I know those are time sensitive and you can't look there, Spike. Say hi, Spike.
Bye.
You can go on my site and find that information, and you should probably do that because sometimes it will take me a long time to like get to all my emails.
Yeah. Yeah, that is all great. I will make sure to put those links below. And you'll be happy to know like vampires are making a comeback. I just saw a trailer for a new vampire movie that's coming out like this spring. So they're gonna have you have some other company in that
I love
resurgence
vampires.
area.
I love
So
vampires.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cami, for spending time with us. Readers, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you back here again next week for another First Chapter Friday video. Happy reading. We'll
Bye,
see you next
thanks.
time. To continue reading Mixed Up by Kami Garcia, pick up a copy from your school library, purchase one from your favorite local indie bookstore, or grab it via the Amazon link down in the video description box. Then be sure to check out the rest of the First Chapter Friday video list. I've got more than 200 amazing middle grade and young adult novels there waiting for you to check out. I know there's something for everyone, so go ahead, scroll through the list, and find something that looks good to you. Thanks so much for visiting my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd. I hope you come back for more First Chapter Fridays, brain breaks, direct instruction videos, and more. See you again next time. Happy